All true. There's no winners in a courtroom where one person is held accountable and staying in jail for the rest of his life and another person is lost. There are no winners, but there is accountability. There is at least a little sliver of justice. There is some closure, and I hope that we have been able to deliver that with this conviction. When we look at the situation of gun violence and homicides in Philadelphia, I'll just cover it briefly. We are showing, there's a little bit of a discrepancy, as there often is in the data, but we're showing either 0 or 1 homicide between April the 4th and April the 10th of 2025. That is obviously extraordinarily low, but it is reflective of some of the positive news that we have seen in terms of reductions in victimization, reductions in shooting, reductions in homicides. If you were to look at the publicly available Philadelphia Police Department data, as I did this morning, as I do every morning, you would see the number of homicides in Philadelphia this year so far is 57. That appears to be the lowest number of homicides on the 15th of April in 50 years. And not just lowest by 1, it appears to be the lowest by 7. And the second lowest by 10. That is remarkable. Obviously it is hopeful, but it in no way answers the pain, the suffering of people who have lost a loved one to gun violence. It also does not answer their concern that to see out of 18 crime categories, 16 and subcategories, 16 are headed down as we speak now. None of that answers their concerns, but at least it means there may be fewer victims and fewer families that have to go through this horrific experience, as has happened not only to Akeem Johnson, but has happened to his family, including family who are here today. I'll have a few more comments as we get toward the end, but I would like to bring up Bob Wainwright at this time to speak about this case. He is, and I say this to his credit, someone who has a great grasp of all the details of the case, all the forensics, all the investigation, all the evidence, and it's worth hearing. I think it's important to hear the details on this case. After he concludes his comments, I will invite Kim Johnson, the mother of the victim, and also twin sister, Ikea. I will invite them up. I know the mother wishes to speak. And then after that, I'll have a few more comments and we'll go straight to Q&A. It is my pleasure at this time to call up someone who is no stranger to these press conferences, and that is the chief of the Homicide Non-Fatal Shooting Unit, who has not put down the courtroom work to be a chief. He's in court all the time. When he's not supervising, mentoring, and teaching, he's in court all the time. Bob Wainwright.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you, DA Krasner. This was a terrible murder of a 35-year-old sanitation worker named Akeem Johnson. Akeem Johnson was murdered on November 18th of 2022. He was killed while he was on the job. He was loading garbage into the back of the sanitation truck at the corner of Bly and Roland, which is in the Mayfair section of Philadelphia. This happened at 10:30 in the morning. And the defendant, Nushar Scott, who killed him, fired 28 shots. He used 2 different guns to commit this murder. He fired 13 shots with a .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol, and then when he was done with that gun, he pulled out a .40 caliber gun and fired an additional 15 shots. The detective work on this case, as the DA mentioned, was exemplary. This case was assigned to Detective Craig Coulter of the Homicide Unit, and he and his partner Steve Grace got right to work retrieving all of the video, which actually does capture the incident. We're going to see a little bit of the video in just a moment. And the shooter was completely masked up. They were not able to get a plate or a tag on the getaway car, which was a Subaru Outback, but they couldn't get a tag on it. The big break in this case happened 12 days after the murder. So the murder was on November 18th, and then on November 30th, and this is a testament to the technology, the forensic technology that exists today, but the detectives actually got a DNA hit on one of the 28 FCCs. And that DNA hit came back to the shooter, in this case, Nushar Scott. So on November 30th, they had, for the first time in their investigation, a specific suspect. And that name of Nushar Scott led them to a phone number for Nushar Scott, and that phone number gave them timing advance data, which not just triangulates your area with a cell tower putting you in a 1 mile radius. It actually puts you at a specific location. And the amount of time between when they got the name Nushar Scott to when they got the phone records was 2 days. They expedited those records, and that proved to be incredibly important to the case because of the video that they were able to obtain by not waiting any longer than that. The phone showed that Nushar Scott's phone had traveled from Broad and Lehigh down to City Hall Station, right near where we are right now, over to Spring Garden, and they were able to get video that showed the shooter dressed with black latex gloves, the same latex gloves that he's wearing when he commits the murder, completely covered. He's not taking any chances. You cannot see his face, but there he is on the train. And then from the Spring Garden station, they got more video, which led to an apartment complex in Northern Liberties. They were able to get video from that apartment complex. This is on the morning of the murder, just an hour or so before the murder happens. And from that video, that's the first time that we see the getaway driver, Rasheen Trusty. He was 30 years old, and he was the person who drove Nushar Scott to and from the location of the murder. We see Nushar Scott leave with Trusty. Trusty doesn't take nearly as many precautions in terms of hiding himself, perhaps because he expects not to be seen on the video if they don't get that video from the location. He never leaves the car. But we see the two of them get into the car, and we see Trusty's phone go from Northern Liberties to the Mayfair section where the murder occurs. We see the figure that is Nushar Scott get out of the car and approach. He does one pass of the sanitation truck, and then he comes back around the corner and gets as close as he can get to Akeem Johnson as Mr. Johnson's loading garbage into the back of the truck before the shooting begins. So at this time, I'd like to point out just a few things on the video that was shown at, thanks. This is 1 Brown Street. This is an apartment complex where Nushar Scott went. It's 9:47 a.m., under an hour before the murder. You can see he has the black latex gloves on as he's in this elevator. The person he's with is of no consequence to the case. That person gets off at a different floor. But this next clip is when Nushar and Rasheen, we see Rasheen Trusty wearing the college-type jacket, and Nushar, who puts on the same jacket but has switched pants, shoes, and we see the comparison to what he looks like when he's about to go commit the murder, to what he looks like, when he first arrived. This other individual locking up is Rasheen Trusty, the driver, and he was convicted of third-degree murder and conspiracy to murder. His sentencing is scheduled for June 13th. This is the back of 1 Brown Street, and we see the two of them leave to go commit the murder. So if we go to this is the corner of Bly and Roland, and our decedent, Akeem Johnson, loading garbage into the back of the truck. This is his co-worker loading garbage as well, and Nushar Scott approaching and getting as close as he can. We're not going to show the actual murder, but the shooting begins at that moment. The first 13 shots are fired at the corner, and now additional shots are fired on Roland Avenue, and that is the defendant chasing down Akeem Johnson. And he fires an additional 15 shots. The final clip we have is when they return back to the same location, and we see Rasheen Trusty he's going to open the back door because Nushar Scott has been waiting in the Subaru Outback outside. And that was video that was shown as well. We're just showing very few select clips. But Nushar wanted to make sure that he doesn't go in through the front of this building. So he has Rasheen Trusty go through the front, down the back stairwell, and Rasheen will let Nushar in right around now. Nushar left his phone inside this apartment complex to commit the murder, but we see that phone move again the next time Nushar leaves this apartment complex, which is just about 12 hours later. The time there, by the way, 11:56, that's an hour off, and the correct time is on the floor itself, so 10:58 is when they return. So this is just only 2 minutes later that they return to the floor. You can see Nushar reaching into his pants there. He doesn't get in. Rasheen will come down the hallway from the elevator and let him in. And those black latex gloves that you saw the defendant wearing when he left to go commit the murder, or when he arrived and he actually puts them on as he's going outside to go commit the murder, that proved to be important to the case as well, because as I said earlier, 15 shots were, the victim was hit 15 times in this case. It's a brutal killing. The final few shots are very close range. And one of the things that was recovered in the vicinity of the murder, in the direction in which the defendant Nushar fled after the murder, was one glove and then another glove. The first glove had the decedent's DNA, Ikeem Johnson's DNA, on the outside, consistent with some blood splatter getting onto that glove. The defendant's DNA is on the inside of that glove. Now he's taken that glove off, and sure enough, the second glove recovered a little further down the street. We have the defendant's DNA on the outside of that glove and the inside, consistent with using your bare hand to take off that glove. And this all begins with the DNA hit on that FCC. So every once in a while, it's not often, but every once in a while, despite the heat that goes through when a shot is fired, you're able to get DNA off of a fired cartridge casing, and that was true in this case. Out of 28 fired cartridge casings, one of them came back to the defendant. That was it. There were 2 DNA FCCs with the decedent's DNA that was consistent with his blood actually being on those FCCs because they were near the body. So the detective work on this case by Detective Coulter and Grace was exemplary because they didn't waste any time, and the video from 1 Brown Street proved to be so important, not just in solidifying the case against Nushar Scott, but also making the case against Rasheen Trusty, the driver. And from inside of that apartment, additional evidence was found. A live round, a .40 caliber round, black latex gloves, consistent with the ones the defendant was wearing when he committed the murder, and mail in the defendant's name, as well as his driver's license. So the 1 Brown Street, ability to get to 1 Brown Street by the detectives was crucial to the case. Thank you.
Thank you, Bob. Appreciate it. I will have a number of things to say, but without delaying, I would like to give Kim Johnson, the mother of Ikeem Johnson, and Ikeem Johnson's twin sister, Ikea Johnson, an opportunity to come forward, and if they would like to speak.
Good morning. I don't know if it's morning or evening. I don't know if it's morning or evening, but I know it's not evening, but good morning. I just like to say that Ikeem was a hard worker. He was a good dad, and he was a role model to the young boys that he came in contact with. And it's sad that he was actually assassinated on his job. And just like I stated earlier, there are no winners here. And I just wanted to say, as I stated earlier, put the guns down. Stop the violence. It's nonsense killing. And Akeem was a good dad, and he loved being a dad. And it's sad he's not going to be around to raise his own son. And I wanted to thank everybody involved in this case that brought this case to justice, and I'd like to thank them.
Hi, I'm Akeem's twin. I just want to say our families, we grieve every day of Akeem's passing. The pain never goes away. It stays with you. Even after 2 years, it still stays with you. And knowing that the individual who caused the pain has been brought to justice, and give my brother justice, because it's what he deserves it. He deserves it. We're going to miss his vibrant smile. He's always, when you walk in the room, he lights it up. And he's going to make you laugh. Like, he was everything to me. And just looking in his son's eyes, that's the only way, that's the closest I feel to my brother. You know? We just going to miss him so much. We miss him, and knowing that he's been brought to justice, he can finally rest fully. He can rest in peace. His family misses his nieces and nephews, and his other sister misses him. Everyone misses him so much. So I'm happy I'm allowed to come up here and speak for him, speak with him, because I know he's looking down right now. So I would like to thank everyone who worked effortlessly to help bring him justice. And I just want to say we love you, King, and I hope to see you again one day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you both. There's a bigger context here. And because of that bigger context, we're being very careful about what we say and do not say. There's another trial coming up. There is another trial that is a murder trial. There is another trial in which the defendant is Nushar Scott, the shooter here, the killer here. Because of that trial, and because of the importance, thank you, of making sure that that prosecution goes off smoothly, we're not getting into certain things. But I will say this, as I close in on 38 years of doing this work. When I hear about a defendant who's going to use gloves, going to use masks, going to change clothing, it's going to be tricky about where he puts the phone, going to have 2 guns fully loaded. Those guns are going to be high caliber. We are talking about someone who thinks he's clever, thinks he's smart. This was, Nushar Scott is and was an experienced criminal. He had already been convicted of robbery in the federal court many years ago. He did time in federal court. He got caught. He got caught every way you can get caught. Anybody out there who thinks he's clever, he can get away with gun violence with a mask or gloves? No, you can't. These detectives did a great job. Bob Wainwright did a great job. Others have done a great job. We're going to get you. We're going to catch you. We're going to put you in jail. And in this particular instance, Mr. Scott is up against life without parole even before his second trial. That's where he is. Rasheen Trusty, you think you can ride along on this stuff, be the driver, not actually pull the trigger, and it'll be okay? No, it won't. You're going to get what you deserve. And it's going to be a lot of time for this heinous action. So anybody out there who thinks it's cool to be involved with any sort of gun violence, you better get ready, because you're going to get caught. You're going to go to trial. A Philly jury is going to say you're guilty. You're going to go to jail, and that's the last we're going to see you. That's how it is, straight up. And the better our forensics get, this is an example of the city moving and evolving towards better and better forensics. Taking DNA off of fired cartridge casings, that's the brass end of the bullet. It's the part of the bullet that flies out of a gun, semi-automatic gun when it's fired. That didn't used to be a thing. It's a thing now. Oh, those silicone gloves were going to help you. I guess they didn't. Changing your clothes, masking up. You're not getting away with it. You're getting caught. The mayor has already said, and is following through, that we are going to have that state-of-the-art forensics lab. And then it won't be now and then when we can use all of these tools. It will be all the time. So if you've been up to bad stuff, retire. If you're thinking about bad stuff, don't start. Or we will be seeing each other in a courtroom before we don't see each other for at least a very, very long time, and quite possibly the rest of your life. That's where we are. The consequences here are real. The accountability here is real. But I don't want any of that. I want the gun not fired. That's what I want. All right. And now we will go to Q&A. If there are any questions that are for people other than myself, then, obviously I will consult with those people to see whether they would like to answer or not. We have with us here the unstoppable Sherry Stone, Philadelphia Tribune.
I noticed you mentioned that the videos from the apartment building was really helpful. Would you encourage other, businesses, departments to cooperate and, tips, since this was such so instrumental in getting an eviction?
100%. I'll call Bob up in a second to add on to what I'm about to say, meaning Mr. Wainwright. But let me just say this. Something that might not have been noticed in the mix, Bob and I and others up here, we talk all the time about investigations, homicide cases. Video is incredibly powerful evidence, as you could even see today. But if that video gets erased over, and often video, whether it's public or private, is set to erase over in a couple of weeks, or in a week, or in 3 months. When that video erases over, then it is lost forever. So for really good homicide detectives, and these are really good homicide detectives, it's a 24/7 thing. We need to get enough leads right now to get the video right now, because if we don't, it will be gone forever. I encourage every property owner, private homeowner, whatever it may be, if you got a Ring camera, if you got other cameras, hook them up, connect them up. It will only make your block safer. It would only make your home safer, and more to the point, it will make all of Philadelphia safer. So I encourage you to have it hooked up to the city system. If you don't do that, I encourage you to call in. If something happens and you've got a camera, you've got video, you don't have to go watch it. Just call in. Call 911. Call homicide. Tell them, something happened on my block, I do have a camera system here. It's hard enough for these detectives. If they know that there is a homeowner, a business owner, someone who is ready, willing, and able to deliver up that video, it just helps them move fast. And it helps us be in a position where crucial evidence that could be lost is not lost. Do you have any other questions, Ms. Stone?
Is it too sensitive to talk about motivation at all? I don't know if you guys have any inkling, was it robbery? Was he just a crazy weirdo?
The answer to that is it is too sensitive because there is a second trial coming up, and because there are aspects of that that we have to keep in reserve. It's very important that that second trial be conducted fairly, because that is how a conviction lasts forever. That's how a conviction stands up. So there will be more that we can say after the second trial, but unfortunately we cannot say it today. Mr. Wainwright, did you want to add into my comments? You don't have to.
I'll just add that when we're talking about motive, I think it's important to remember, I mean, the fact is that Akeem Johnson was a sanitation worker for 5 years, and he's literally doing his job. And whether this was some kind of a long-standing beef or a beef that went back years, this was this was, I think, just want to bring it back to the victim, because this was a victim who was doing a job, and we can literally see that on the video. So this is just a terrible, terrible act perpetrated by the defendants.
Is there anything else, Ms. Stone? Do we have any other questions electronically, text, or email? Not at this time. All right. I just want to thank the family of Akeem Johnson once again for their help throughout the entire process, for their willingness to be here today and to speak here today. Obviously, their words are the most powerful that you're going to hear, and we appreciate it.